Yeah, Matt, this is a video out of Olean, Missouri, and this is the hail that we've been talking about, with that threat primarily going to be towards our north. But you can see those hailstones falling to the surface and the heavy rainfall that's attached to it. Not going to be here in North Mississippi unless something does pick up in speed or in intensity, but so far haven't seen that. So as of right now, we do continue to expect that more significant hail threat to be Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, well north of us here in North Mississippi. With that potential not completely zero, and that's of course what you're watching here behind the scenes using our Mama Justice Doppler radar. Some potential storm development over into the evening, and you have the latest on that as we look at triple threat and with.
Yeah, and with the very latest here on our severe risk as well. As you mentioned, that hail threat, that is where this is centered up to the north. That's why the severe weather threat is in place. We are on the southern fringe of the overall threat here. Large hail potential, I think the main impact there. But when you look at all of our different elements, thankfully, most of them do not have much storm development the remainder of this evening. And so we start transitioning toward heat tomorrow before a renewed chance after that. We could be near record highs with near 90-degree temperatures to end the week. Triple threat, that's going to track our storm chances for Saturday's showers and thunderstorms. And there is some rotation in those thunderstorms potentially as well. Same thing we looked at yesterday with it. So this trend is one we're obviously monitoring very, very closely. The most significant threat, though, for active weather and severe weather is ahead. We'll talk about that coming up here in a few minutes. We're looking probably more than a week out related to that chance as well. But over the next 12 hours here, not impossible to have a couple of showers and thunderstorms. It'll be a lot later in the show that we check back in with our Ethan Foster to look at obviously the beautiful conditions that he has out there. We're 71 degrees at 10 p.m., 66 as we look toward 1 a.m., and then back into the low 60s by early tomorrow morning. That's the only time we're somewhat cool, because we definitely heat things up tomorrow afternoon. Mama Justice Doppler radar, just no precipitation out there. You know, we look at any sort of, cloud cover on this, and that's one of the ways in which we can kind of look at this is using our visible satellite perspective here around the region. And we show, again, some of the puffy cumulus clouds, but those are continuing to kind of fall apart, a sign that we've lost our daytime heating and our storm potential will continue to diminish going forward. So this evening, as you'll note here, some chances up here into Tennessee, not an impossibility. If these can dip, obviously, just even a little bit farther south, they're very limited in number, but not impossible to, again, have some of those try to produce some hail for our region. Back into Arkansas, chances as well. But what you'll note is all these start falling apart 10, 11 o'clock toward midnight or so. Still some ongoing rain chances up into Tennessee, but for most of us here across the northern half of the state of Mississippi, even as far down as Meridian there, Forest, likely to stay dry as we head overnight with a mix of clouds and partly cloudy skies. So really the next 24 hours, the story remains the heat more than anything else. We're low 60s there at 6 a.m., 71s look toward 9 a.m., 84 by noontime tomorrow, and that 88 is conservative. Some spots are going to be up in excess of 90 degrees. We could actually have some temperatures, maybe 91 or so, not an impossibility, especially car or bank thermometers. We're probably most likely to see an impact related to that. Okay, coming up here in 60 seconds on Mississippi Live at 6, we're going to be looking at that forecast for storm chances, not just the remainder of tonight, obviously not particularly impressive, but when we start looking toward the weekend, we're looking at triple threat for that wind, hail, and rotation potential all combined into one, and looking beyond toward maybe a more significant storm chance in the extended forecast, and obviously some beautiful weather in between as Mississippi Live weather continues here from the Room Droom Weather Center right after this.
And for quality, Harvey chefs start with the best cuts of certified Angus beef. Then we season them with a special blend of spices before they're grilled to perfection over a mesquite wood fire. And when paired with one of our signature sides, well, the only thing you need to bring is an appetite. Now that's quality delivered to your table. Harvey's, a difference you can taste.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
We can see the lowering. We're going to have a good shot at that as it approaches the Ryanzi area. Tornado warning now issued. We'll do a push alert behind the scenes for folks here up here in Alcorn County. Rotation on this thunderstorm increasing to the point back into Tippah County as well, where the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for your locations. This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobhon.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon. 82 temperature in Pontotoc. That measure of moisture, that dew point, remains low. One of the signs that we are probably not going to develop a lot in the way of active weather tonight. It's just not enough fuel for it. In fact, those clouds fairly high base there as we look toward the horizon out here from the Room to Room Weather Center. As we go down toward Montgomery County, checking out there in the Winona area. Yeah, even less of a chance than what we have some spots farther north. Let's check up here toward Fulton as we check our Mississippi Department of Transportation cameras. Partly cloudy skies looks like showing up at those spots as well. 82 degrees current temperature at this instant. Day planner over the next few hours here has that rain coverage only around 10% or so, so not expecting much. Most of us dry. And honestly, if you get any rainfall this evening, it's probably going to come with hail, but you'd be one of the lucky ones considering how dry we have been. And unfortunately, that drought monitor released today continued to show expansion there. Mama Justice Doppler, we are mostly clear. The returns we have here, just what we call sometimes clear air returns, it's just bugs and dust and things like that being depicted. You don't have to go that far north and west to see where we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. Watch meaning conditions that could come into place. But certainly the storms are on the eastern side of that watch at this point while it extends until 9 p.m. And our projections do have additional thunderstorms developing back out here north of Little Rock. Most of our projections have those all falling apart before they ever get here into the Magnolia State. So your school day forecast for tomorrow is going to be dry. It's going to be borderline hot as we're in the mid-80s for highs tomorrow afternoon. That's why I'll starting off the drop-off temperature at 62 or 82 by lunch and then 87 for the final bell. Again, appreciate IMPC for sponsoring our school day forecast. Futurecast then this evening, as we go wider here for a moment, you'll notice a few spots back out west where we could potentially see a few isolated thunderstorms develop. But if you just kind of look right here in North Mississippi, see how we don't see anything? We don't really have a good lifting mechanism. We have limited moisture. That's going to hopefully keep us dry. So despite that severe weather risk, I feel pretty confident we're going to be in pretty good shape this evening. 6 a.m. tomorrow. Dry and the warming trend beginning. Mid-60s out there for lows, coming at 64 degrees in Grenada and Water Valley, 62 for Houston and for Columbus, about 66 in Greenwood and 68 for Cleveland and for Greenville. Futurecast keeping us dry for tomorrow. Those winds out south and west bumping up those temperatures. We could go partly cloudy for the skies tomorrow, but not expecting that to really help us much as we're going to definitely heat things up into the afternoon. You'll notice here as we go toward 5:30, 6 o'clock, still probably have temperatures are going to be mid-80s at that point. Highs up to 89 in Amory, 89 degrees in Columbus. And again, we'll check in with our Ethan Foster at our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Casey Lott and Langston Lott here in a couple of minutes. 89 in Eupora, 88 there, Grenada, and 89 degrees down in Greenwood for that future heat index. Almost the same values, a non-factor, a sign that, again, that air remains pretty dry. SEC baseball forecast brought to you by Carl Hogan Toyota. It is hot there in South Carolina, Columbia, 93 peak temperature on Friday, 94 potentially Saturday there. This might be running a little bit hot. Either way, they're way above their normal, and that's a lot more toasty than I think those folks have played there in Mississippi State in a game so far this year. We're mid-80s for Friday. Again, Ole Miss at Tennessee. We're 86 degrees by Saturday. In both cases, for both these games, dry weather is going to be the case. Not both these games, both these teams and their series, dry weather. And again, appreciate Carl Hogan Toyota for sponsoring our SEC baseball forecast. So Futurecast here continue to show again that mix of cloud cover and storms still well to the north and west. This is the prime zone up here for severe weather. Stronger winds aloft, better lifting mechanism. This front is sharper back that direction. So for tomorrow, severe weather chances much more likely back on the plains. We're starting to get the residual effects of that here into the northern half of Mississippi as we go into early Saturday morning as that line tries to arrive. Those storms, though, largely weakening before it ever truly moves into our area. So severe weather risk on Saturday. No official one at this point. Now, based on what we've seen today, I do think it's reasonable that we end up with at least a level 1 severe weather risk, probably not up to level 3, and it would take something significant for this to shift up to a level 2 risk, indicating the number of reports. So sporadic wind damage, hail, and a non-zero chance for tornadoes are possibilities we look into your Saturday. Here is triple threat, something you'll see only on Mississippi Live. Note with that triple threat where it shows from here forward where those storms are showing that rotation back there into Arkansas, wind and rotation and some hail up there into locations into Tennessee with that complex of thunderstorms. So that's what triple threat looks like when it's kind of kicking out some of those sorts of things. But I think most of the rotation we're seeing out northwest of us for tonight, that's all going to be hail producing sort of stuff. Notice for tomorrow, there's nothing out there. Then things get a little more interesting on Saturday. So we're going, again, midday tomorrow afternoon, nothing popping up. So we're in good shape there. So by tomorrow night, midnight, nothing. 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, that's when things are getting more active. Again, this is what it looks like where you have a significant severe weather risk, and they do have a level 3 severe weather risk on the plains. Yeah, so this is what it looks like when you have big bad stuff hitting a lot of the same spots. A lot of that wind, a lot of that rotation producing hail more than anything else. But that is the system that is moving toward us for Saturday. So let's talk this through. This system largely not showing much by even midday Saturday on our triple threat. But as we head toward the afternoon, our strike model starts to show more of these thunderstorms getting a little bit stronger. Not much, as you can see, noontime. But then between noon and 6 p.m., we do have a couple of these stripes depicted there. Now, I don't see any large hail being depicted on this as well. I still think it's not unreasonable that these could be wind and hail producing thunderstorms. So I'm interested to see how this changes over the next 24 hours here to see if this comes up a little bit. But the thinking is that this is not obviously a high-end severe weather event. Some spotty wind, some spotty rotation, some spotty hail possible for this Saturday chance. I think it's probably a week beyond that things get much more interesting as we're looking toward the latter part of this month. We'll look at that with the crossover coming up here. Our fuel and jet stream here in a few minutes. But beyond that chance on Saturday, things looking cooler and drier for Sunday. So here is Futurecast. I want to show you a difference here. So this is going to be our strike model mixed with our HRRR. HRRR only goes through noontime. And notice how even at 10:30, I have some of these up here north of Greenwood there, stretching toward Water Valley. That storm there near Bruce and this other one we have up here toward New Albany, I think those are strong enough that could have maybe a little bit of rotation with those as well. That's pretty early in the day, all things considered. So I think that the timing difference there speaks good things to us because it hasn't really truly lined up. And so we're probably not talking high-end storms, but our HRRR is more aggressive on how strong some of these thunderstorms could be Saturday afternoon. At 10 o'clock tonight, our meteorologist Gabe Maynor will have a look at this that goes all the way through 7 p.m. Saturday. That'll cover the whole event. So you want to check out Gabe for the latest on that coming up during our 10 o'clock broadcast on Mississippi Live Weather then. And a reminder, of course, also our 9 o'clock broadcast there. He actually should have an update at 9 as well on that, something that we've added over the course of the last couple of weeks here. So as we clear that off and we look here into your Saturday afternoon, again, this is that strike model, additional thunderstorms, some rotation possible, gusty winds and hail, the most likely impacts we'll probably end up seeing out of this on Saturday, and then rain chances that continue into Saturday night. So big drop off in temperatures with this from 70s to the low 80s. For some spots on Saturday, but look what happens between still a warm day for a lot of spots Saturday to a much cooler one Sunday. This is that drier and cooler air moving in, low 70s by your Sunday, and I think that sets the stage for excellent weather next week, as long as excellent for you equals dry and clear. If you have a garden, you're going to be watering it. If you haven't already, it's probably whatever it's out there, it's probably already struggling. You're going to need to water whatever plants that you're working on there because this rainfall, not adding up to super heavy amounts. In some cases, if they're thunderstorms, we could have isolated amounts in excess of an inch, inch and a half. But I think that is probably more the exception of the rule than the rule in this case here. So beyond the 7-day, that's when that next storm chance is coming up. Coming up here in 60 seconds, we'll talk more about that. We're also going to talk to our Ethan Foster, who is down in Lowndes County at our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Casey Locke. That's coming up right after this as Mississippi Live continues from the Room to Room Weather Center.
The bravest thing that my dad has done has been going back to school.
It wasn't when he first enlisted, it was when he found his first support group.
The bravest thing she did is when she asked for help.
Hi, my name is Rosie. Regional Rehab Center helps kids like me by offering speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dyslexia therapy. Your support helps so many of us get what we need to grow and succeed. Please help the Rehab Center.
You wonder how they're going to experience the real world in real safety, where all kids are welcome and everyone has a path forward to new skills, advancement, leadership, something they will carry with them the rest of their lives.
So in a lot of ways, a perfect night for some softball out there at our Mississippi Live Game of the Week down in Lowndes County. It's New Hope, it's Pontotoc, and again, appreciate Casey Lott for sponsoring our Game of the Week forecast here. 85 degrees first pitch. We're 77 by the fourth inning, lower 70s out there. You know, we're only about 12 minutes from first pitch of this game, so we need to get some predictions here coming in from our Ethan Foster down there in Lowndes County. Man, look at that shot. It is a beautiful evening, is it not?
It is a beautiful evening out here, Matt. We're out here in Lowndes County, New Hope to be exact, for a big end of the regular season, and pretty cool out here. Not only do we have the game just about to start behind me, but we also got some really cool stuff here. I'm going to swivel my gimbal around here and check this out. We got basically Duty Noble North over here on a Thursday night. We got grills going right down here. We can get it. There we go. So I got my friend here. He's going to introduce himself, tell us a little bit about what he's got going on here. So tell the people who you are and what we're doing tonight.
Yeah, I'm Derek McBride. We got a little lounge going out here. We call this one the Cajun Corner, but we got about 5 or 6 of them out. Cooking some deer sausage, some shrimp, just getting ready for a good ball game.
Absolutely. And a cool thing about the McBride family here is their daughter, Tatum, is one of my players to watch tonight. So that's pretty cool for the Trojans. But as far as the game goes, give you a little preview of what to expect tonight. We talked about this is a big Region 1 matchup in 5A tonight to determine some tournament seeding. So New Hope is feeling good because they beat Pontotoc earlier this week, 5-2 on the road. And so they're hoping to finish that little 2-series game here with another win so they can hold on to the 2 seed in the region. Of course, Caledonia having the 1 seed right now, playing West Point. But, yeah, big game as far as that goes, and maybe a little chance for a rematch between these two teams. Another thing that's really cool, Matt, something that I learned right before this live shot was we actually have some players for New Hope that wore suspenders before the game to warm up, and they were really hoping that they could show you their suspenders before the game, but they had to go warm up, and we didn't want to mess with their focus. We didn't want to stay, we got to keep them locked in. But just know that they were all very excited to let you know that they had their suspenders on for practice, and I thought that was pretty cool, and you'd appreciate that.
Oh, this is the reason I didn't want to stay here and do the weather tonight. You're fired, number one. Here's why. Deer sausage is the food that I've always said that, if I were on death row, I would ask for deer sausage. That'd be my thing. So, of course, they're grilling up deer sausage and wearing suspenders down there in Lowndes County. Okay, you're not done yet. I haven't heard a pick out of you.
You haven't heard a pick out of me yet, and I'll tell you why. Is because that deer sausage was just absolutely intoxicating up there. I haven't had any to eat yet, but I'll tell you this, Matt. As you could assume, the McBride family is picking the Trojans to win tonight. I'm going with the home team tonight. And, of course, the home team being the New Hope Trojans. I think they're going to win this one. I picked Pontotoc to win earlier in the season when we had Pontotoc, South Pontotoc. But tonight, I'm going with New Hope, the home team. And, yes, if you had to guess, I am going to go back and get some of that sausage because they so graciously offered it to me earlier. Got to take up the home team on that offer. Hope they get a win for everybody at home. And looking forward to a good night out on the diamond, getting ready to start here in just a few minutes.
I know. We'll let you get all set up and everything, Ethan. Great job out there using the new technology. You're doing a good job with it.
Man, yeah, trying to figure it out. Got to upgrade and always keep moving forward, right? So, yeah, excited to have some stable video tonight.
It's all in the wrist. Like the little joystick
It's all on the
there
wrist.
never is very good. So you just have to kind of twist it. You'll get the hang
You
of
got to
it. But
figure it
it's
out.
looking
You can
good.
do a little flipperoo here. See the field. That's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
just figuring it out and trying to give the people at home the best we got. And hopefully New Hope and Pontotoc both have their best ready for an exciting end of regular season matchup. Who will win and finally secure that number 2 spot in 5A Region 1? We'll be finding out tonight at 10 o'clock, and I'll be finding out just here in a few minutes after I get some of that deer sausage in my belly.
You're a horrible human being. Not true. You're an amazing human being. But man, I have some jealousy issues. Our Ethan Foster down there in Lowndes County at our Mississippi Live Game of the Week, again presented by KC Lot and the folks up there at Langston Lot. Just a beautiful evening for some weather. Okay, let's talk extended forecast here for a moment. So the way we do that is using the jet stream. This is going to show us down low and up high. This is not quite the same as our crossover, but it has 2 of the 3 components to it. And I think in this case, it might just be simpler to just show you big dip. That's our weekend chance. Fuel, pretty limited with that. As we go beyond that point in time, you can see we get this northwest flow that's drier, calmer, clearer conditions that are going to come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. If you go an even wider shot, you could almost say that this slows down enough. If this got stuck, it looks a little bit on this shot here like what we call an omega block. If I could, draw on it correctly. We'll see if we can do that, where it looks like the Greek symbol omega there. So you see it kind of lingers a good chunk of the week. That's because that blocking pattern kind of keeps us locked in whatever we've got. And it's going to be some pretty pleasant weather, all things considered, a good chunk of the week because of that. But by the latter part of the week, things start to change. Severe weather chances are going to be more prevalent out there on the plains with plenty of fuel and a strong upper level system by next Thursday. By a week from tomorrow, that storm system ejecting out here toward the plains. And you might remember a week from Saturday is when we were looking at those severe weather chances yesterday using the crossover. This is the same model, different day. What we don't have here is quite as much lower level fuel in place for that. It could be, I think, just a progressive enough pattern that this looks a lot less like severe weather chances, even looking toward that day. But by the first part of the week after that, Monday and Tuesday, fuel is coming back. Another storm system kind of getting more organized out to the west. And this could lead to some storm chances there as we go toward April, 28th, 29th. And if today is presently the 16th, we're 12 days out. This will change just as it changed yesterday. But this is also a typically pretty active time of year. So we're always trying to look ahead to get the best idea about that. Okay, so I want last second numbers here for folks that are going to be voting for our Mississippi Live Game of the Week. Our Gabe Maynard there. It's all the different voting related to what's going on.
Well, we're officially calling it, so let me go ahead and give it that last refresh because when I say it's close, it is very close. So as we get down there to the voting, let me scroll down here a little bit. We can see that our MVNP, let me drag it over there, is going to be Blake Moore with New Hope. So that is officially our MVNP, our most valuable non-player. Expect to hear something from him tonight right here in the Room to Room Weather Center. Excited to recognize him as our most valuable non-player. Honorable mention was Mary Ruth Carradine and Coach Barry Harcrow, both 2 great individuals, but the voting speaks for itself. So we are going to, again, have our winner, Blake Moore, speak tonight. But Matt, the fans is where it was tight. And Facebook, it still holds true. It was a 3-vote difference. So Pontotoc was 121 and New Hope was 124. But what it ultimately came down to is on Instagram, and I pulled out my phone for that, was 45 votes for New Hope, in addition to them already being up 3 votes. And then Pontotoc had 25. So New Hope ultimately prevailed and is our fan section of the week, as well as our most valuable non-player. So Pontotoc, got to prove it on the diamond to get some of that extra mention tonight because New Hope so far is 2-0.
Absolutely. And I just hate that I missed going down there to catch that game tonight. The
players wearing suspenders is definitely a statement. We got to get back to New Hope.
Man, we do. I feel so bad. But, if I'd gone down there, we know we'd had a big hailstorm. That's how this goes, right?
How it always works.
But thankfully not the case. I'll check the chat here for just a moment as we wrap things up. Thank you all for all of your support. Yeah, it looks like everybody there just kind of talking back and forth. So, like a little robust conversation. You can join the conversation by making sure to have the Mississippi Live Weather app. It is free and available for all of the various zillions of different devices that you could choose to download that with, as you can see there, iOS and Android. And if you're looking for us on the big screen TV, you can find us by searching for Mississippi Live on there. So just search Mississippi Live on whether it's Apple TV, Fire Stick, what's one? Roku. And you can always find our YouTube page there as well. Even we don't have official apps on Google and on LG and those. It's very difficult to get all those up and going. We'll eventually probably get there. But if you just search for Mississippi Live on just YouTube there, we stream live there as well. Our next broadcast coming up tonight at 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. 9 is next, 10 is after, and at 9 o'clock, Gabe is looking ahead at those storm chances, in particular for Saturday. He'll have an updated look at our HRRR model, an updated look at our strike model, both of which are depicting some stronger thunderstorms, maybe a little stronger than they did yesterday. We'll have the very latest on that from the Room to Room Weather Center tonight at 9 and 10 o'clock. We hope we'll see you then. And check out Maggie, 6:37, 7:30 a.m., Monday through Friday, here in the Room to Room Weather Center.